There is a type of creature in the world that has been discovered by a few people, but has not been confirmed to exist. We collectively refer to these creatures as unidentified mysterious animal, unidentified biological entity, abbreviated as UMA. Hello everyone, welcome to the UMA video series. The deep sea is a world full of unknowns and dangers, but at the same time, it is also a place of miracles and discoveries. In this darkness where sunlight cannot penetrate, lies the Earth's final secrets. Perhaps those life forms yet to be discovered by humans are surviving in incredible ways in this endless abyss. Today, I want to share with you a discovery from the mid-20th century during the rise of submersibles, the deep sea star's unknown giant fish. The Deep Sea Star 4000 was a manned deep-sea submersible, manufactured in 1965 by Westinghouse Electric, in the United States. For most of its 7 years in service, it was used by the U.S. Navy for various underwater exploration tasks. The scientific name Deep Stereo, of the jellyfish rat we learned about earlier, was named after this submersible. On August 5, 1966, the chief operator of the Westinghouse Deep Sea Star submersible series, Joe Thompson, along with Eugene Cecil Lafond, a pioneering scholar of Indian Ocean exploration, and his assistant, Dale Good, followed the mothership to a location about 5 miles southwest of Coronado Island to conduct a dive operation, aiming to collect data on the distribution of marine life and temperature at different depths. However, during this seemingly ordinary dive, they encountered a shocking giant unknown fish-like creature, but perhaps fearing that others might not believe their report, it wasn't until 6 months later, in 1967, that they accepted an interview with American writer Paul Zimmerles. In March of that year, he published an article in the first person, based on Thompson's original words, in the Divers Series magazine. The following is his account. Due to its length, I have made some edits and summarized the key points. I piloted the Deep Sea Star and gently descended to the seabed. The depth at this point was 4,000 feet underwater. I turned on the navigation lights and started the submersible cruising along the seabed. Even at this depth, the water was slowly flowing. The dim seabed looked like a vast desert, though not entirely barren. Every 10 minutes or so, we would spot small marine creatures like brittle stars and sea cucumbers. We continued cruising to help Dr. Lafond find a suitable survey location. Soon, he pointed out a spot, and I began preparing the instruments to descend the bow. We deployed the current meter and temperature probe. After 2 or 3 minutes, Dr. Lafond started recording the data. At this moment, we had been staying on the seabed for about 15 minutes. As I was observing the instruments and timing equipment, suddenly I noticed outside the window a massive gray shadow passing by. At first, due to the poor visibility on the seabed, I thought it was just a swirl of mud caused by the propeller, so I didn't pay much attention. But soon, I saw a giant eye. Considering the distortion caused by refraction, I estimated the eye to be the size of a dinner plate, probably 5 to 7 inches in diameter, though it appeared to be much larger. Just moments later, I saw its gill cover and a pectoral fin, about 2 feet long. The fish appeared to be a complex brown color, with its scales and tail ending in a grayish-white hue. This massive creature was about 25 feet long and 5 to 6 feet wide. It differed from the descriptions of deep-sea sharks I had read about. This fish was entirely covered in scales, with the largest ones near its head being about the size of a coffee cup. The buoyancy of the water supports the weight of these marine creatures, making it hard to imagine how large they can grow. But when I compared this fish to our Deep Sea Star submersible, it became clear just how enormous this creature was. I was completely overwhelmed with excitement, like upgrading from an old car to a supercar. Speaking of which, how do you usually deal with your old car when you buy a new one? I couldn't help but blurt out, "Look at this creature." Everything happened so quickly that I barely had time to think logically. At first, I thought it was a giant bass, but I quickly dismissed the idea. I have worked at sea for many years, and am familiar with all common marine life. I know that at a depth of 4,000 feet, bass cannot be found. This fish swam past the left side of the submersible, avoiding the area illuminated by our lights. Although it moved naturally, its visual impact on me was like watching a long freight train speeding past. I could see rows of scales passing right by me, and I could clearly see its thick tail. It looked strange, a jagged tail fin, protruding at a 30-degree angle from the tail. It didn't resemble the tail of a bass or a shark. Instead, it reminded me of an illustration of a coelacanth's tail I had seen in a book. That's the only way I can describe it. The entire sighting lasted about 8 or 9 seconds. We didn't have time to adjust the lights or the camera. It only passed by once. I felt an urge inside me to turn the deep-sea star around and follow it. But as a trained deep-sea diver, I quickly dismissed the thought. I regret that. In the 1960s, at a depth of 4,000 feet in the Pacific Ocean, Professor Isaacs designed a deep-sea imaging device. I encountered a marine giant called the Monster Camera. I couldn't track it, nor could I take a photo or share it with other crew members. This camera, but I believe that the deep-sea star or other submersibles will encounter this unique deep-sea resident again. The above is the entire sighting account of Pilot Thompson. He also mentioned that, among the 3 people present, he was the only one who saw the giant fish. However, in subsequent interviews, Dr. LaFond stated that he also saw it. As for the creature's size, their opinions differed. Mr. Thompson later revised his statement, claiming the fish might have been 40 feet long, while Dr. LaFond believed it was no more than 30 feet. The placement of the instrument embedded in the seabed provided them with a relatively reliable point of comparison. According to American cryptozoologist Garnered Saul, the reactions of the 2 individuals were recorded in the submersible's audio logs at the time. Of course, we don't have access to these logs. John Isaacs, a renowned American oceanographer and a pioneer in ocean exploration, using a free-floating system for deployment and recovery, greatly improving exploration efficiency and resource utilization. Up until the 1970s, this camera had been deployed in multiple marine regions, including North America, South America, Africa, and Antarctica. The following 2 photos were taken respectively from the coast of Southern California, USA, and the waters near the Hawaiian Islands. The depths at which they were taken were 2,039 meters and 1,949 meters, respectively. The professor stated that the large fish in the images might be up to 25 feet to 30 feet in length, especially the first one. According to the Monster Camera Project's chronological records, the location where this photo was taken should be near the San Diego Trough Fault Zone, and it is very possible that this is the prototype of the giant fish seen by Thompson's team. American ichthyologist Carl Levitt Hobbs believes that the large fish in the image might be a Pacific sleeper shark. At depths of 6,000 feet underwater, sufficiently cold temperatures also provide them with a habitat. The Pacific sleeper shark is a large deep-sea predator, mainly distributed in the North Pacific, the Arctic, and temperate waters, on continental shelves and slopes at depths of 300 to 2,000 meters. From common shrimps, crabs to benthic bony fish and giant squids, its food range expands continuously as it grows larger. Currently, it has been verified that the largest individual found reaches a length of 4.4 meters. Some unverified records indicate that they can grow up to 7 meters or longer. This is already close to the large fish observed by the deep-sea star. Professor Hobbs believes that the giant fish seen by Thompson's team might be a large individual of this shark species, a large specimen. If this conclusion holds, then it might become the 3rd largest shark, after the whale shark and the basking shark, but possibly due to documentation issues. In Dr. Garnered Saul's book, The Vast Art of the Ocean, published in 1970, Professor Hobbs referred to what is actually a Greenland sleeper shark. The average size of this species clearly aligns more closely with the descriptions from the event. However, the distribution range of the Greenland sleeper shark suggests it can only survive in much colder waters. In fact, neither the Pacific sleeper shark nor the Greenland sleeper shark hypotheses were accepted by Mr. Thompson or Dr. LaFond. This is because the mentioned sharks obviously lacked the large eyes described by them, and the shark's fine, blunt scales differed significantly from the rows of large scales described in the sighting. Thompson once mentioned that it reminded him of a giant bass, which might suggest that what he saw was a massive bony fish. American cryptozoology writer Matt Billy suggested that it might be a previously undiscovered species of giant bony fish. Bony fish, which are part of the class Osteichthyes, include all species within this classification. They form the largest group of vertebrates alive today, encompassing all common fish species. Their internal skeletons are ossified, and their bodies are bilaterally symmetrical, with gill covers. Under this classification, we can first rule out the two largest candidates, the ocean sunfish and the giant oarfish. The former is currently the largest known species of bony fish in terms of body size. However, judging by its morphology and characteristics, it is clearly very different from a bass. Additionally, this species lacks the large scales described, and typically inhabits mid to shallow water layers. The giant oarfish is similar in this regard. As the world's longest bony fish, the giant oarfish is sometimes considered the inspiration for some sea monster legends. However, according to current theories, this species generally resides in the upper to mid-ocean layers, where light can penetrate, and can dive to a maximum depth of about 1,000 meters. This is still somewhat different from the deep-sea star's diving depth. Currently, the largest known deep-sea bony fish was confirmed in 2021 by Japan's Jamstek, in the Suruga Bay region near the Aizu Peninsula, at depths of over 2,000 meters. This fish is the Yokozuna slickhead. As of 2022, 6 specimens have been collected in Japan. Specimens of this fish were captured by a deep-sea bait camera at a depth of 2,091 meters, including one individual over 2.5 meters in length. This suggests that they may grow even larger. Currently, most opinions online suggest that the fish encountered by the deep-sea star was of this species, although it differs significantly from Thompson's estimated size of 8 to 12 meters. As a recently confirmed species, there is still much room for research on the Yokozuna slickhead. Studies on this fish are far from comprehensive. One final theory I find reasonable comes from Reddit, where a moderator focused on cryptozoology shared their insights in a post. Large-scale commercial whaling by humans was only officially prohibited in the 1980s. The drastic decline in whale populations also disrupted the entire marine food chain. Some large deep-sea, benthic creatures that relied on whale carrion found their food sources dwindling. Many of these creatures, perhaps undiscovered by humans, may have already disappeared from history. The giant fish encountered by the deep-sea star might have been one of these endangered large species, or perhaps it was the last individual of its kind. Alright, this concludes our analysis of the mysterious giant fish encountered by the deep-sea star. The mysteries of the ocean are like an unfinished book. Every page holds untold stories, and every page presents new puzzles, waiting for humanity to explore. Finally, as always, the unknown will forever exceed the known. This is the true charm of UMA. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.